Look, you and I both know that motherhood is insane. It's beautiful, I love it, and I am super grateful for it. But it also kicks my butt the vast majority of the days that I exist on this planet. So when it comes to setting goals for the new year, it's really easy to just roll my eyes at that and think maybe when all the kids are in school or something, that's when I'm gonna enter my goal setting era. Because right now it kind of feels like whatever goals I set, I probably won't hit, so like better not. But the more I felt myself feeling that way, the more I had this like visceral reaction to reject those thoughts. If you caught my last video, you heard me talk a lot about limiting beliefs in motherhood and how that can negatively impact us. And I realized that I was doing that. I was buying into the limiting belief that I had no capacity for setting goals in the new year in 2025. So I decided to get out of my head a little bit, try to step into that growth mindset that I talked about in my last video, and find a way to set goals that were both aspirational but also very realistic for the absolute chaos that is my life as a busy mom. And in this video, I'm going to share my top 10 goals that I came up with to help me enter my hot mom era in 2025 and why I think you should consider maybe sharing some of these goals. This isn't about trying to be some like Pinterest perfect mom who never loses her and always has lunches packed on time and whatever else. This is about being the best version of me for my family while navigating the chaos of motherhood. If you're new here, my name is Bailey. I'm a certified personal trainer, certified nutritionist, pre and postnatal specialist, and most importantly, I'm a mom. I work full time, and I also make videos about realistic, holistic wellness in the context of the chaos of motherhood. If you're into that kind of thing, I would love for you to subscribe to this channel and drop a note in the comments below letting us know who you are, how old your kids are, what stage of motherhood are you in. If you're not new here, welcome back. You might remember a video I posted a couple weeks ago that was all about entering your hot mom era. I talked about like 7 tips to glow up as a busy mom. You guys loved that video. Well, okay, you actually hated the music in that video. I got so many comments about how offensive the music was to you, which like I get it. Listen, I'm new at this, okay? I'm learning, I'm doing my best. So I appreciate the feedback, I actually very much do. That said, I think the video content itself was received really well, which makes me think that you are also interested in having your hot mom era. So this video is sort of to that end. It's not so much about looking hot, although that's part of it. I mean, who doesn't want that, you know? But more so it's about being like the best, calmest, most authentic, most present version of yourself that you can in the midst of your reality. That's just like a lot harder to fit into like a title and a thumbnail, so we're sticking with hot mom era. So without further ado, let's dive into the 10 goals. Okay, goal number 1 is no more mom guilt. I know this sounds like we're starting out with a very unattainable goal, and I get that, but here's the thing. Mom guilt is something that it's like a trap. It's a trap that we all fall into very easily in our comparison-driven society. But it's not something that we have to stay in, right? It's not a belief system that we have to fully adopt for like the remainder of motherhood. It's easy and normal, I think, to feel guilty when you act in a way that's not totally aligned with the version of yourself or the version of motherhood that you want to embody. Maybe you leaned in a little hard on screen time over the holiday break, or maybe you look up and realize your kid has been pretty much existing on peanut butter crackers and water for the last couple of days. Maybe you work full time like me and are constantly comparing yourself to moms who get to stay home and are present with their kids all day. Or maybe you lost your cool because you stay home and are present with your kids all day and your patience wears thin because that is an extremely difficult job to do. There are 800,000 reasons why we can feel mom guilt at any point in the day. But my goal for the new year, and I hope that it is your goal too, is to get better at rejecting it in the moment. Instead of just like writhing in those feelings of guilt and like accepting that as like, I'm a terrible mom. When the thought comes up that like, I should have done this or I shouldn't have done that, my goal is to change the narrative to say, I'm doing my best, but next time I hope I can XYZ. So like I said, mom guilt comes up a lot for me because I work full time. So instead of constantly feeling like I'm a terrible mom because I am not home with my child because I'm working because life is expensive and I have to provide for our family. The mantra that I'm going to need to get really good at this year is I'm doing the best that I can, and I really hope that we can spend some quality time together this weekend. The idea is to turn those feelings of guilt into hope and hopefully into actions that will lead to positive changes in how you mother. Okay, goal number 2 is to have more fun. Before we had kids, my husband and I were very good at having fun. We loved like a little weekend trip, a little getaway. We loved going out for margaritas to celebrate whatever small thing we decided was worth celebrating that day. Like, I feel like we were very, very good at this. Similarly, when I was single, I feel like I was really good at having fun because you're single. What else are you doing? But now, not so much. I think somewhere along the way, I sort of switched into like survival mode, and the idea of having fun just for fun's sake completely left the building. It's not that I don't enjoy the time that we spend as a family, or like if we do get to sneak away for a date night, of course I enjoy that. It's just that this idea of like having fun is something I really only think about in the context of my daughter. How can I create an environment where she is having fun? I never think about it in the context of myself. And I don't know if that sounds selfish, but I think it's worth trying to pursue a life where we can all have fun, right? Believe it or not, her version of fun is not the same as mine. Like it brings me so much joy and so much fulfillment watching her have fun. But sensory bins aren't going to do it for me. We have very different versions of fun. To make this goal a little bit more realistic, I'm just going to focus on trying to do this once a month. I think anything more than that is a wonderful bonus. And I hope that I'm building a life that provides opportunity for more fun for our whole family in the future. But for right now, because I kind of feel like I'm starting from somewhere near zero, I just want to focus on doing this once a month. So once a month, whether it's a game night with Ryan after we put the baby down, or maybe watching an episode of Grey's Anatomy on my laptop while I'm taking a bath, I'm going to do something just for fun's sake, just for me, once a month. As an aside, as I was thinking about this goal, I had a very difficult time coming up with things that I think are fun. And I don't know if that's like unique to me. I don't know if I need to like share that with my therapist or what, but I just feel like I'm so out of practice that like, what do I even think is fun? So if you know what's fun, or if you have an idea of what might be fun in the context of motherhood, please drop that in the comments below because apparently I need help. Okay, goal number 3 is to unfollow mom influencers. Now I realize that may sound slightly ironic as someone who puts herself online in like this context of motherhood, but I don't really consider myself to be like an influencer in that way. So I'm giving myself a pass on that. Here's the thing. I'm not here to judge anyone for what they put online. I love that in 2025, moms can make an income from their phone, from social media, just like putting stuff out there. Like, girl, get your bag. I support you 100%. I think that's wonderful. That said, the mom influencer space just feels a little bit untouchable to me. And I find myself seeing those posts or those videos and instantly feeling all sorts of shame or guilt or comparison or whatever because I'm not like making homemade bread for my family and we weren't all wearing matching pajamas at Christmas, and the thought of homeschooling actually makes me want to like run for the hills. In my day-to-day life, I don't really think about those things very much, but if I see a post like that online, then suddenly I'm like, oh my god, should I be doing this thing? This is terrible. Those things are great for the people that do them, but they're not my current reality, nor are they my current goals. And so it just leaves me feeling bad about myself. And like we talked about in the mom guilt goal, but we don't need any more of that in 2025. So, with maybe some exceptions, I'm largely unfollowing most of the mom accounts that I follow. And again, it's not because there's something wrong with them, it's because my capacity to handle that type of content in a positive and productive way is low, is maybe zero. It's not you, it's me. In general, the content that we consume is up to us. Like, we have freedom, right? Like, you can curate your feed to a certain extent, you can hide accounts, you can mute people, you can ask Instagram to not show you things within certain topics. There's control that you have over what you're consuming to a degree in the media space. So unfollow anything that makes you feel negative and just stick to like dog accounts and baking accounts. That's what I'm going to be doing. Goal number 4 is to get outside every day. As someone who works exclusively from home, it is shocking the number of days that I do not leave the house. Or if I do leave the house, it's to like get in my car and run a quick errand, aka go buy coffee. And that doesn't really count as going outside. But fresh air is an instant mood booster. And there's so many benefits that we get from spending time outside, spending time in nature. You get that vitamin D boost. It helps with your sleep cycle regulation. And studies show that it generally makes us calmer and feel less stressed when we're spending more time outside, especially by a body of water. If you have that available to you, I highly recommend. But just generally being outside is a positive. It's also so good for our kids to spend time outside. And it's not that we avoid it by any means, but it's just not something that I feel like we've spent a ton of time prioritizing as a family. And I think about like after dinner, like right now, our after dinner time is a lot of chaos. It's not quite bedtime, but we're all kind of running thin energy wise at the end of the day. And so we're mostly just trying to do the dishes while our toddler tries to crawl into the dishwasher. But how much better would we all feel if instead we use that time to go for a 10-15 minute walk after dinner? It's good for your blood sugar. It's good for your mental health. Like spending time outside just feels like a wonderful goal. Obviously, weather impacts this a lot. I currently live in Texas where like 6 months out of the year, it's just too freaking hot to be outside for any length of time. But whether it's trying to do early mornings or late evenings, or even just like standing on the back deck while I wait for my dog to finish peeing is better than nothing. So I'm going to set this goal to get outside once a day, even if it's for a very small period of time, just to build that habit and to build that muscle a little bit better. Okay, goal number 5 is to be more gracious with other moms. Listen, we are all in this crazy merry-go-round together. And the last thing we need is to let envy or judgment or comparison make it harder for ourselves or for anyone else. We live in a world where everything is so black and white. Either seed oils are totally fine and not that big of a deal, or they're poisoning your entire family. Either screen time is just an inevitable part of the world and we all need to grow up with boundaries around it, or it's melting the brains of our children. Everything is so binary. And as a type A person, I love the comfort that comes from being staunchly in one category. That feels good. I think that's human nature. We like to feel like we're right and we're standing in that circle of other right people. But the temptation when we do that is to then see the people in the other circle and to view them as like the others or the enemy. And this can happen in really big ways, like moms who think that working moms are super selfish and are prioritizing money over their kids, or vice versa, working moms who strongly judge the stay-at-home mom for whatever reason. But it can also happen in really small ways, like a mom having very little empathy for another mom whose kid was up multiple times a night because they sleep trained and you didn't, and this is just what you get. Like the other one I see a lot, especially online, and I've even gotten comments like this before, is if someone expresses a goal or a desire or an accomplishment that they had, then a lot of times the easy reaction to have is like, oh, well, must be nice to have a full-time nanny, or must be nice to have a housekeeper, or whatever. Like there's just this weird tone of comparison when it comes to how we mom that is not serving us well. It's fine to have opinions. I think it's wonderful actually to have strong convictions about the way that you want to raise your family based on your research, your experiences, your circumstances, etc. But isn't it also fine to be gracious with other moms who, based on their research and their circumstances and their experiences, have decided that that is the best way for them to mom, for them to raise their families? We're all dealing with a very unique set of circumstances, resources, ideas, communities, and whatever else informs the way that we think about parenting. But the vast majority of us are also all operating from a place of like just wanting to do our best and love our babies. And I think we can stand to be a little more gracious with each other, even in the areas where we disagree or differ. Motherhood is funny. Like when I have really close friends that we mother differently, we parent differently. And sometimes when you've had friends for forever and ever, you don't really think about motherhood being the thing that might create a little bit of friction. And then suddenly it's there and you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I think it's because we're all trying to do the right thing so desperately that when we see someone doing something different, it challenges us and our guard goes up. And we're either quick to like judge them or judge ourselves or whatever. And we just need none of that in 2025. Hot moms are not doing that in 2020. Hot moms are kind and they're gracious and they're willing to share their opinion when asked based on the research that they've done and a desire to help. So in 2025, let's all be that kind of hot mom, shall we? Okay, goal number 6, getting off my soapbox, is to simplify mealtime. This one's a little bit more practical. The irony of all this is I run a wellness app and for moms. And on my app, I have a new meal plan every single month. And in that meal plan, you get breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 4 weeks. You get all the recipes, you get meal prep tips, you get weekly grocery list, organized by section of the grocery store. Like it's all right there for you. And yet I still struggle with 4 or 5 times a week being like, what the heck are we gonna have for dinner? Oh my gosh, like, did I even unfreeze the meat? Like, I don't know what's happening. It's just chaotic. I provide that resource to other moms, so why am I not using it? If that's something that's interesting to you and you want to try it out, you can try the app for free for 7 days. We also have workouts on there and mindfulness guides for motherhood. It's like a holistic wellness app for moms. So I'd love for you to check it out. I'll link it down below. Regardless, this is not my strength area. So in 2025, I am bringing back something that we did when I was in my like postpartum season, which is all about meal rotation. So meal rotation is a little bit boring, but it makes things so simple. What we did was we picked like 4 or 5 recipes that were super easy, relatively healthy, and simple enough to make that my husband could do it if I was not in a place to cook. And we just put them on repeat. We just eat them week after week after week. Sometimes we'll throw in some variability. So like pasta is always on the rotation because who doesn't love pasta? And we'll mix up like the type of noodle, we'll mix up the protein that's in it, we'll mix up the sauce. Like there's ways to make it slightly more interesting, but at the end of the day, this is not the most like culinary way to eat, but it is a very simple way to eat. It makes grocery list planning way easier and it's just helpful. My husband and I can kind of just operate from the same playbook and we're not having to do that mental load all the time of like, okay, what the heck are we gonna eat? The other couple days a week, we'll either do takeout or that's when I'll mix in a new recipe that I wanted to try or something I saw online or like something from my own freaking meal plan. So my goal for 2025 is to bring back meal rotation and also get better about using my meal plan because I actually think they're really good and I spend a lot of time on them. So I don't know why I don't use them. All right, goal number 7 is to embrace saying no. Overcommitment is the quickest way to burn out. And if anybody knows that to be true, it's moms. But hot moms are good at saying no. So in 2025, we are also going to get good at saying no. I said this in my last video, but saying no to things that are not aligned with your highest and best self is actually saying yes to things that are aligned with your highest and best self. But here's the kicker. As an expert people pleaser, which I undoubtedly am, I'm very quick to feel the need to over-explain why I can't help host the baby shower or volunteer for that team at church. But it's such an unnecessary use of energy, and it's just not required. Most people don't need that from you. It's just something that you're putting on yourself, or I guess I should speak in first person. It's something that I'm putting on myself when I say no to help like alleviate the guilt that I feel. A simple like, thank you so much for thinking of me. I don't have the capacity for that right now is plenty. That's plenty. And that's a very polite, adequate way of saying no to things. And the nice thing is in a future season, when life feels maybe a little bit more manageable, maybe your kids are slightly more like self-sustaining, then you can say yes to more things. And, life kind of ebbs and flows in that way. So I don't think we need to feel guilty about saying no now when we are just trying to like protect our time and our sanity. But honoring the season that you're in by saying no, guilt-free, saying no to things that don't honor that season is the best way to support yourself and your family in this time. So hot moms, we're saying no and we don't feel bad about it. Goal number 8 is to invest in friendships. Mom life can be pretty isolating, especially if, like me, you moved to a new city right before you had a baby, which makes it very difficult to have friends. We've lived here for a little over 2 years now, I think. And I'll be honest with you, I don't feel like I have a very strong local community. It's hard as an adult, as a mom, as someone who works full-time remotely, like making friends, it's not something that comes naturally to me in this season of life. I'm an introvert also, so that doesn't help. But I think just in general, adult friendships are kind of difficult. Making adult friendships is difficult. I have my 2 best friends from college and my 1 best friend from high school, and we keep up regularly. They're kind of my people. We talk all the time in like our little group text. And for a while, that has felt like enough. And in some ways, it is enough. And I'm super thankful for those friendships. That said, none of them live here in this state even. And so I think there's an element of a local community that is really beneficial that I want to lean more into in 2025. So my hot mom era is going to include investing in friendships that are close to me. And my specific goal for this is to try to do one social thing a month, whether it's like a coffee date or a book club or a mom's group meetup. I don't know. Clearly, I have some work to do in this area to figure out what this is going to look like, but just trying to put myself out there a little bit more to make friends. This is kind of an embarrassing one to admit. Like maybe you guys all have friends and I'm like the weirdo that doesn't, but it's just been hard for me. So 2025, the year of friendship. If you're in Dallas and you want to be friends, let me know. Okay, goal number 9 is to focus on gratitude. Now I know that's going to sound a little cheesy, but I also know how powerful it can be when we focus on the things that we're grateful for throughout the day, especially in seasons that feel difficult or chaotic. We had a really difficult loss in our family in 2024. Maybe I'll talk about that in a different video. Maybe I won't. I don't know. But one thing that really helped me through my grieving process was trying to focus on the little things that I could be grateful for in the midst of that grief and of that loss. There were so many days that the thing that like got me through was just holding on to the fact that our little nucleus, like me, Ryan, and Joe, the 3 of us, there's so much love between us. And that kept me grounded when I felt like there was just so much darkness around me. Am I getting emotional? It's fine. Gratitude doesn't necessarily make like tantrums any easier. It doesn't make your calendar any less overwhelming, but it does just ever so slightly adjust the way you approach those things. And over time, those little bitty adjustments can lead to a much more grounded and positive headspace in general. It also really changes the way that you're able to show up for yourself and for your family and the people around you. So I've done the like write down 3 things a day that you're grateful for. I do like that, but I'm going to challenge myself a little bit more in the new year. My goal for 2025 in my hot mom era is to verbally share what I am grateful for with my partner, a friend, my mom, whoever will listen, maybe you guys, out loud. Like saying it out loud, I think gives it an additional life rather than just writing it down. It can be small. Like today, I'm feeling very grateful for the cortado that I had this morning and the fact that the sun is shining after a couple of days of just really dreary winter weather. But even just saying that out loud in this moment brings me like a little bit of joy that I didn't have before. So in 2025, we're bringing in the joy and we're verbally sharing our gratitude with those around us. Okay, last one. Goal number 10 is to build my dreams without feeling guilty. Sometimes the word dreams makes me feel a little squirmy, like it just feels like a cheesy word in general, but I've used goals so many times in this video that I had to replace it with something else. So we went with dream. The idea is in 2025, I am owning my hot mom era mantra that chasing my dreams does not make me a bad mom. It makes me a happier mom. Yes, I plan and need to keep my priorities in check. Yes, I intend to always pursue and steward my family well with a servant-hearted mindset. I want to be the mom that puts her family first. I don't want to be the mom whose big, lofty dream or goal absorbs all the life and energy out of the family. I don't think that's healthy. But at the same time, I don't want to raise kids that are afraid to go after their dreams or are constantly apologizing for their ambition because that's what they saw modeled in their mom. There's a way to find balance. We can dedicate certain blocks of working time during nap time or while they're at daycare, or we can delegate certain tasks to other household members or to people if we have the resources to pay for them so that we have time to work on these other things. Like, there's ways to be creative and find balance within that. But I think the idea is giving ourselves the freedom to have a dream and to try to chase it and to not fall into this trap of thinking like, well, I'm a mom now, so this is kind of my life and this is what it is. And I'm just going to sit here and like live it. That's not for me. And I don't think that's for you. It will take longer for sure than if you didn't have kids. Like, definitely. It will require patience and creativity and dedication and grit, but those are all things that motherhood already requires of you. So might as well also channel that energy towards working towards your dreams. So in 2025, me and all you hot mamas, we're chasing our dreams and we're not feeling bad about it. And as silly as it may sound, one of those dreams for me is to hit 10,000 subscribers on this channel. It just feels like this little goal that I want to do. So if you haven't subscribed already, I would love for you to subscribe. And if you have, thank you so much. Tell me in the comments what your dream is. What is your big dream or your big goal, if dreams feels cheesy to you too, which I totally understand, for 2025. And let's cheer each other on. So those are my 10 goals for 2025. The hot mom era, the hot mom year, whatever you want to call it, our grounded, present, happy, contented mom life year. And I hope some of them become your goals too, or at least gives you some inspiration to start thinking about what your goals are. I know motherhood is a lot, and some of you may be thinking that my goal is to get to dinner time and like survive that. And I want to honor that and say that if that's where you're at, that is a perfectly fine goal. Survival and just like taking care of yourself in the midst of that level of stress is an extremely worthwhile goal. And my hope would be that within that, you're able to find some pockets of gratitude that help sort of get you through until you get to a slightly calmer season, whenever that may be. And I hope that that season is soon for you. But I just want to say, sometimes when I talk about things in motherhood, I'll get comments or even just kind of feel in my gut this feeling of like, I know like postpartum, or if you've got a million kids, or I know there's times where none of it feels realistic and you're just like, cool, that sounds nice. I'm not gonna be able to do any of that. I can't even take a minute to think. And I honor that. And I hope that that's not your reality forever. And I would love for this channel to be a resource of finding little bitty ways to just inch ever closer to a version of motherhood that doesn't feel that way. Not that I'm an expert, but just that we can help crowdsource ideas together. Either way, I hope that whether it's in this season or in a season soon to come, you are able to set big goals for yourself, big, sustainable, realistic goals for yourself within the context of motherhood. And I would love to follow along your journey. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. That really supports my channel and I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Oh, and Happy New Year.